Hi, welcome to the Kind Beer Review. I'm Josh Kenzer, and this is the show that's re-respecting beer as a beverage. What do I mean by re-respecting beer? I think all too many people go into the grocery store. The majority of the shelf is Bud, Coors, Miller, MGD, a bunch of different varieties of very mass market produced beers. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like Miller Lite, I like Coors Light. Definitely when it's hot outside and you're looking for a refreshing beverage, those beers are great. However, I think all too many people learn or grow up with their beer drinking habit seeing those as beer, and they look at those other beers that kind of look like this one on the shelves, and they say, why would I pay an extra $2 or $3, per bottle sometimes, when I can drink this other beer that tastes great? And then if they are, adventurous enough to experiment, they pick up a six-pack and they're just overwhelmed with flavor. Those mass market light beers, they just don't have the complexity of flavor. And if you gain your beer palate by drinking just those beers, and then you switch to a craft beer, you're overwhelmed to the point where it's almost a turnoff. So the point of this show is to help my viewers and take you guys through craft beer and how to train your palate, how to recognize the tastes, the flavors that go into a craft beer, what goes into making craft beers, how craft beers are different from those mass-produced light beers, American-style light beers, versus brewery beers, which might be more of like a microbrew, or even a home brew. Part of this journey, for a large part of it, is my personal goal to become a beer judge through the Beer Judge Certification Program. And along the way, in order to become that kind of beer judge, you have to have a vast knowledge of over 17 different I'm sorry, not even 17. I look over here at my computer. It's 28 different beer categories. And in each beer category, there's at least 2, sometimes as many as 6 different subcategories. For example, this beer here, which is the Summer Solstice Cerveza Crema, is in the light hybrid beer category, in the cream ale subcategory. All that can be very daunting. It doesn't matter. Like Gary Vaynerchuk of Wine Library TV says, you got to trust your own palate, and you got to explore and experiment with all the different options that are out there. And that's what I want to do with you guys today. So like I said, this is the Summer Solstice. It's a Cerveza Crema. I'm using a pint glass to drink it out of. You notice it's not frosted. To really understand the flavor of a complex beer, if you frost the glass, you're going to introduce both moisture into the beer, which can dilute its flavor and affect the taste that way. But also, I don't know if you've taken a whiff in your freezer lately, there can be some funky odors and stuff, and you don't want to mix that with your experience of drinking beer. So first I'm obviously going to pour it in the glass. I'm going to pour it down the middle to create some head, and then as I see the head, I'm going to level the glass out to the side. And it's really important to have a nice head on your beer, because a lot of the aroma what you're going to, a lot of the aroma is going to come from the head, and come from the head while it's dissipating. So if you pour it where there's too much head, you're going to have to sit here and wait to drink it. But if you also pour it where there's not enough head, you're not really going to get the flavors of the beer. Let's see if I can do this. So you notice kind of a good size head. Poured it a little too fast. But you also notice it's dissipating quickly, and I can really smell it from even back this far from it. It's a nice head. You look at the retention, how long it stays, and while it's there, you really need to smell it. Get a sense for it, and then let it sit for a sec, and then go in and smell it again. This beer is a well-balanced beer, especially in a cream ale variety. It's not too malty, and the malt is a little bit more than the hops, but it's not very hoppy either. Yeah, so I can smell a little bit of hoppiness, a little bit of sweetness from the malt, but it's not overwhelming or overly powerful. And you'll notice the head did dissipate fairly quickly. It's off-white. It's definitely a you know, more of a tan color head. And then if you look at the clarity, it's definitely a copper color, which it should be, which is nice for this particular beer. I mean, if you held up a Miller Lite, you'd see right through it. And it's not overly dark, you know, it's not a Guinness or anything like that. It's a cream ale, very nice copper gold look to it. So now take a sip. And the first thing you look for is your mouthfeel. And I'd say the mouthfeel on this is pretty light. It's not overly carbonated, meaning there's not a lot of bubbles in my mouth. It doesn't really sting the tongue per se. It's really nice and almost watery. Although the color is a little bit darker, it still is pretty much a light beer, hence the category light hybrid beer. So you're not going to get a lot of heaviness in the mouthfeel. Now we'll judge it on taste. You definitely can taste some low to moderate hoppiness. There's some sweetness there. It's very light. You know, it's not a complex flavor, maybe as a darker, more richer beer, maybe a maltier beer. I think this is actually a very good, if you're looking for your first entrance into a craft beer and you're really a Budweiser or a Coors drinker or something like that, I think this beer might be a good choice for you. It's not overpowering with its flavor, and it's very drinkable. A little bit of spiciness to it, definitely in the aftertaste, more so than in the front palate. But it might be a really good beer to start your experiment with. I think we'll be doing some other of the Anderson Valley beers. They make quite a different selection of beers. So yeah, I think this would be a good choice. I'd say my overall impression is it's a light, you know, it's not a very complex beer, very light, very drinkable. I could sit and have a beer or two, especially on a hot day. This is a good summer beer. So yeah, it's a good choice. I don't think I'm going to really rate them with numbers yet as I progress through the beer judge certification program. That is definitely one of the aspects of beer judging, is writing down numbers for each of the different attributes of a beer taste. I just don't think that I'm at that level yet, and I don't want to do a disservice, especially to the Anderson Valley Brewing Company or to the beer itself, by giving it some number that I'm not really ready to give. So that's episode 1. Drink many kind beer. Respect the kind beers. It's going to be a little bit different than Miller Lite and Coors Light and those kinds of beers, but that's a good thing. We're experimenting and we're increasing our beer palate. So thank you.